Okay, and we're back. Let's start the lesson. We are going to do this assignment. Has anyone done Dojo weather?
I'm like 85% on it.
Okay. All right. So this assignment is a practice assignment that's going to be a lot like the test. Okay, so you can see here, it's not too complex. It's not something out of your guys' range. I think the profile page may have been a little bit tougher than this as far as arranging divs on a page, but there are some JavaScript rules to this. And so let's just look over the yellow belt here. We are going to go over the requirements first. All the HTML code has to be validated by a validator. So let's open this in a new tab. We've gone over this before, but in case you forgot, we're going to copy it and paste our HTML into here, do a check. It's going to let us know if we have any errors. So you're going to want to have minimal errors there. And then we want to have our files in the proper format, as well as the images. I'm going to be grading the quality of your work, making sure it looks as close as possible to the example page. So for the HTML, we are going to be checking the divs, text, lists, tables. We want to see that you're using the correct tags in the correct places. We want to be able to read your code, so it can't be too messy. Use the format code tool in VS Code, as well as applying comments to divide sections on your page. Okay. We also want to create CSS. We don't want to put style properties in the HTML. We have to create a CSS page. And we also want to create comments on the CSS as well. So let's see here. What's this third section? Use consistent color schemes, right? If it's one color for the nav bar, the buttons, we want to use the same color all around, not multicolored. Spacing and styling, we're going to use best practices. Avoid using position. Float, we haven't introduced float, so don't even think about that. Don't worry about it. And as far as CSS, we want to make sure we're applying the appropriate styling. Lastly, we are going to expect that you do the JavaScript. So the JavaScript is the heaviest, the weightiest grade on here. So you want to have the JavaScript features implemented. Okay, this assignment is going to have some JavaScript features implemented. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's take a look at what we have here. We're going to take the images. I already have the images downloaded, so I won't do that in front of you now. But we have here a page that has, let me go ahead and mark this up. We have this nav bar. It's going to have different links that we can click. And anytime the user clicks a link, it's going to display an alert. And then we have this header section here. And in this header section, we have an H1 on the left. We have this button, this drop-down button here. And then we have the main body content. And it's divided into 4 sections. Today, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. And each section here has an image, a header, p tag, and then some section here that shows the temperatures. We are going to do this 4 times. And then at the very bottom, we have this cookie section with an I accept button. Now, when someone clicks the I accept on the cookie section, it's going to dismiss the whole section entirely. And let's see here at the bottom. We are going to also convert the temperatures when the select is changed. When we select from Fahrenheit to Celsius, we should see the temperatures go from 24 and 18 for today, for example, to 75 and 65. All right, so are there any questions?
And I think you have one more JavaScript. If you click, is that when the user clicks on the city, display an alert.
Right, yep, I did say that one. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, so when someone clicks this, we're going to display the alert that says loading weather report, as you see here. Okay. We are going to use position fixed. So we are going to use position fixed for the cookie area. And let's see what else here.
I have a question about the exam quickly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume there's gonna be some images needed for it. Are the images gonna be provided to us, or are we gonna have to look for the images?
All the images will be provided to you just as it would be on this assignment.
Okay.
So you'll see me do this assignment. You'll see how it's done. But don't just watch the video to copy the code and see, see how I did it exactly. Struggle with it yourself, time yourself on how long it takes you to do this assignment. And then we'll go over a different wireframe in the afternoon, and you can use that one as well. I'll send that to you guys. So let's go ahead and get started.
A quick question with the images as well. You said the correct format of having your images in there. Is the correct format to have a folder with all your images, or to have them just floating around?
Yeah, that would be ideal. Create an images folder and put all your images in the folder and access that folder.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Great questions. Any other questions? Go ahead and feel free to interrupt me. So
also, if you're talking about the fonts, I've never figured out how to get fonts in. Christian just mentioned that. I haven't mastered that.
Okay. Let's worry. My general rule is to focus on the format of the page and dig out the fonts at the end if I have extra time. So, you have to prioritize what you're going to work on. I would just work on the divs alignment on the page. And if you have some extra time, if you find that font style, then you can just apply it to everything that all selector in the CSS.
Sweet. For recording purposes, it's balsamic sands, just so it's on the video.
Thank you. Balsamic sands. Let me go ahead and get through my folders here. Desktop.
I have a question, Joshua.
Yep.
Will reusing code be shunned?
What do you mean by that exactly?
Like, let's say I already have like a preset for like for example, like what you're working for, like a nav bar and a container and things of that nature.
Well, you can reference code that you've already used. My advice is don't copy and paste old code, because it'll cause more frustration than help. You generally, if you know how to do it, you want to create it from scratch. And that's what we're testing you on, to see if you can create something from scratch. So I would discourage it. I mean, and it's a brand new test, so you don't know exactly what the nav bar is going to have. Maybe the link will be in the center, maybe there will be a search bar in the middle. So whatever you have created, you shouldn't be able to easily copy and paste it over to the test. That's not going to be something that's going to be you're going to spend probably more time editing it than you are just building it from scratch. So always try to build from scratch. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I am going to create an images folder. And that's where I'm going to store my images. So let me just go ahead and grab these images. And I'm going to drag them into this folder. And now they're there. Cool. I'm going to create an index.html. I'm just reading the chat here while we code. I'm going to create a style.css. Also going to create a JavaScript file. So I'm going to say scripts.js. Now I have my 3 files. They're all blank, so I'm going to go ahead and populate them. If I use the exclamation mark, it will create the template here. I'm going to link my CSS. If I press link, or if I type link, it'll give me all the options, and I scroll down to CSS. And I'm going to make sure that I didn't make any typos, so style.css, style.css, that's good. And at the bottom of my body, because I want the whole page to load, I'm going to type in script.src. And I'm going to type in the location, the name of the file, scripts.js. Okay, is there any incorrect spelling there? No, but I'm going to test it anyways. I'm just going to write in here console.log. Hello. And then in the CSS, I'm going to make sure I'm properly linked. So if I do the all selector and I say background color red, I should have a red page with the console that says hello. So I'm going to, let's see if I can do this with the show preview.
One thing to mention about the show preview, I noticed that the HTML alerts don't pop up on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Christian,
when I was testing it for the other assignment.
Christian, is that true?
I think alert pop-ups might not pop up, but that's why you can do the show in browser if you want to do it for testing the alerts.
Okay,
I
let's
think
just,
this JavaScript doesn't work in that manner.
JavaScript works, but alert pop-ups don't. So rest of JavaScript will work just fine. It's just the alert pop-ups don't.
okay. Still a useful tool. I'm gonna drag this below. And I'm going to drag this. I'm dragging my zoom tools here around. Okay, now I'm gonna look at the console. And I have this hello. It says I failed to load a resource. Maybe that's something with the live server. There it is. Yeah, so I have CSS and JavaScript connected. So I'm all good to go. I'm gonna delete my console here and delete this background color. Okay, let's get started. So let's take a look here at what we're trying to mimic. So first here, we have a nav bar. So let's go ahead and create a nav tag. This nav bar has an H1 and then a list of links here. So I will go ahead and do that now. I'll create an H1. And here I'm going to say Dojo weather. Is that how it is? One word? Yep. Okay. And then below this, I'm going to create a UL. And I'm going to say li times 3 because there's 3 list elements. And then in here, I'm going to create some link tags. So I'm going to say the href, I'm going to give it a blank value. Within the A here, I'm going to say Burbank. What are the other 2 cities? Chicago and Dallas. So I'm just going to copy this A tag and place it within each LI. I tab this over, it'll look nice and clean. Okay. And I'm going to change Burbank to Chicago. And this to Dallas. Okay, so now let's take a look at our nav. Let me delete these tabs here. Okay, this is looking good so far. And now I want to go ahead and put a background color, give the nav a certain dimensions of height and width, and then align these links, take away the underline and take away these 3 dots. So we look just like what we have here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my CSS, place it on the right here. Oops. Here we are. I'm going to make everything's margin. I'm going to take away all the margins that are preset, and as well as the padding. And I'm going to go ahead and give the nav a certain color. So I'm going to target it by using this nav selector. And I'm going to say, I want the background color to be the color that I am going to use this color picker and then find it here. Once I get that blue color on the top, not being very specific here. Come on, color picker. No, it's not working here. So I'm going to just guess what kind of blue it is. All right. So if you can't use a color picker like that, just guess a blue, light blue. We'll get to the specifics of the color later. And then I want the font to be white. I'm going to say color white.
I can drop the color for the nav bar in the chat here.
Oh, thank you. Do you use another tool, Christian, to find the color?
I think I've got the same extension. I don't know why it's not working for you, but I've done this before and I've got all the colors copied down. So
I actually have the color right in front of me. I just wanted to use the extension here, and I didn't want to stress out the class. So I'm going to copy and paste. I didn't copy the actual color here. So this is the color of the background. If you don't get the exact color, don't worry about it. Just get an approximate color and use it consistently. Okay, I also want to make it this flex so that everything is separated here horizontally. I'm going to say display flex. And align items here. I want to make it align item center. Okay. Also, I want to take away the styling on this unordered list. So who can tell me how to do that?
I think you could do you
text
select
decoration.
unordered list. Yeah.
Right, text decoration, I want to take away that. So what do I target here?
The LIs.
LIs, right? Okay, let's do that. And I'm going to say, actually, we want to target the A tags to say text decoration none. So I'm going to do another selector, text decoration none. And in the LI, I want to say list style none. And I also want to make the A tags white. So I'm going to say color white. All right. And so I want to make the LIs in here horizontal and nicely even here. So what am I going to apply? to make that happen.
To
Right.
call in the parent, the UL.
Right? The LIs live in the parent UL, and we always apply flex to the parent. So you can see here the UL contains all the LIs. So we'll say display flex on this UL. Okay. And I also need to give it a certain width in order to separate them from each other. So I'm going to give it a width of, say, 60%. Lastly, I want to use the rule that will actually separate them. So I need to give some width first and then say justify content space evenly.
Hey, Joshua, I have a question.
Yes?
For when it comes down to having the code like nav, H1, and ULI, is it preferable to exclude the classes or IDs, or just to avoid extra wording if we don't have to, or is it okay to just include the classes and IDs?
It depends. If you're going to use, let's say you have multiple lists. I know at least I'm going to use this UL and LI for the nav bar. But if there was another part on the page where I would use ULs and LIs, I wouldn't want to use that general rule. So just looking in the page at advance, I'm going to determine which rules are going to be general and which are going to be specific. So I could apply a class to everything and target it by the class. That's not an issue. I tend to just use general rules until I need to get specific. So one thing you reminded me I do need to do is add comments. So I'm going to say this section below is the nav bar. So I'm going to copy this here and apply it to my CSS as well. Does that make sense, Hector?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. Now in this nav bar, I do need to create some space here to the right. See what it looks like. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Who can tell me how I would push everything to the right here?
Margin left.
Margin, yeah.
Okay, margin left on what?
On the list,
The UL.
UL.
Okay, if I say margin left on the UL, what would happen to the Dojo weather?
It would
We're
Get
stay.
pushed further out.
Okay, so how much margin is a good amount?
Maybe 10 to push the Dojo weather slightly to the right.
Okay, Rig says 100 pixels. So let's try 100 pixels on this UL. Okay, that gives some space between. Remember, we can also use flex position. But since you guys said margin, let's just work with margin. There's no problem with that. So if we wanted to add some margin to the Dojo weather, we could target that. We could say H1 padding.
On the page itself, are you zoomed in?
It's a good question. I'm zoomed in a little bit, so I do want to keep. I zoom in for you guys to view here, but that is a good reminder. I'm going to use the standard. Can you guys see that all right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna say padding left 10%. And that's looking closer. I definitely want to make things bigger though. So is that a good space here? I mean, this is like, I'm gonna use these tomorrow and Friday as like the center of the page. That's how I'm gonna divide it. I know this is right in the middle. So I'm gonna say Burbank should be somewhere in the middle. And I can adjust the nav bar as I go on. But let's see here where this is. If this is like the middle of the page, and we do have this, I would say, you know, when you're working on your page, you have to just estimate how wide this view is. If you're using a full screen as I am, the dimensions are going to be different. You know, if I would have to make everything a lot larger, and I could, that's no problem. But for a page this size, I'm going to guess that the window view is about this size. Okay, you don't have to make it dynamic. You can make it static. You don't have to make the page dynamic. That's not a requirement. So don't worry if it doesn't stretch like this. Just make sure that everything in relation to each other is about the same distance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Would I be able to ask something real quick?
Sure.
Something that I noticed for myself. So when I was working on the button clicker last night, I was having issues with the tab nav myself, and what I ended up doing was create a big container and then adding about a 60% container right in the middle, so that way I wouldn't have to worry so much about positioning the wording in the navigation, and that allowed me to essentially just have that second container in the middle, and then the wordings to be able to spread them out without having to have a headache for the positioning.
Okay.
So like, yeah.
So you put a container within the page.
Yeah, so if you go back to the other page, yeah, so I had that big container right here. And then I added this container over here. So that way I'm able to move the wording, like not have to worry about moving the weather, Dojo weather stuff, and then providing a space here. So I had the first and then the second container.
That's definitely an option. It's totally doable. I just prefer not to do it because I don't want to add another div. So it's just a matter of preference. You know, in this case, I just want to adjust my screen size to what I think the width of this example screen size is. So either way is good. So there's no definite way. I just tend to use less divs for easier readability here. But that's definitely a good way, Hector, not to discredit what you're saying here. I also want to make the A tags a little bit bigger. So I'm going to say font size. Let me try 30 pixels. That's a bit bigger. Okay. And I want to change the H1 size. So I'm going to say H1 font size 40 pixels. And that's a bit closer to what we have here. I guess the margin left on the UL is unnecessary. What I did here is I added justify content space around on the nav, and that's what gave it the spacing. Okay, so that's preferably better than using margins. All right, so now we have the.
I have a question real quick.
Of course.
So if we use margins instead of things like space around, do we get points deducted for that, or? No,
it's just generally a better practice to use the flex properties. It's not discouraged. It's like what Hector's suggestion. It's a suggestion. It's a style of how you do it. I just prefer to use the inbuilt flex properties.
Okay.
But do keep in mind that like later on, as you want to write dynamic code, that specified margin is a definite amount. So no matter how far or wide you squeeze your page, that's always going to be 100 pixels. So you may not want that as a good practice for the future. But again, it's not necessary for the test to know this, to do this.
Thank you.
Okay, so I also want to give a little bit of height to the nav bar. So I'm going to say height. What if I do 10%? That's not enough. What if I do 20%? Not affecting the height at all. So what's going on here? Is percent not working out for me? I'm gonna say 300 pixels. Give it a large amount. Okay, so it is affecting it. How about 30%? Maybe 20% wasn't enough. I'll go back to percentage. Percent is not really working for me for adjusting the height.
I just tried 100 pixels and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, so for some reason the height is not adjusting by percentage here on the nav.
Probably better than giving it a height would just be to give it a padding, right? And then the height of the content plus the padding will determine the height.
Yeah, I mean, either way, you can do height or you can say padding. Probably better to do like 30 pixels here. I don't like padding because it pushes it in a little bit more than what I already had it set.
Well, you can have just padding on the top and bottom and nothing on the left and the right if that's how you want to approach it, right? You give
Yeah,
you can give it, there are two numbers, right? So if you give it the first number as 30 pixels and the second number is 0, then
yeah, I could do that as well. So it can be one rule that way. I won't get bogged down with the details now. It is what it is now. So I'll leave it. Padding top 30 pixels, padding bottom 30 pixels. Okay. Are we all following along? We have the nav bar done. So now let's go ahead and move to this section below. What I will call this section here is the header. So under the nav, I'm going to create a div and call it the class header. And in this header, I'm going to give an H2 and call the H2 San Jose. Let's take a look here. Okay. And I also want to create this section here that shows the temperature change. So what I'm going to do is create that here. I'm going to say select. My select options, I'm going to have 2 options. So I'm going to say option times 2. And I'm going to say Celsius, there, and height. Celsius, I'm going to give the Christian, I can use your help for getting that degree sign.
I got you.
Okay. Let me give that F.
The degree sign is Option Shift 8 on a Mac.
I've got it, Christian. Thank you, though. But thank you, Joseph, as well. Okay. So now I have got this select here with 2 values. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that's looking good. And now I want to create some dimensions here. So let's go ahead and do that. So in order to do that, I'm going to target the header class in my CSS. I want to add a comment here. It says below is the header. Anytime I work on a new section, I'm going to just leave a comment. Okay. And now I'm going to target the header by saying header, use the class target, the period, and then I'm going to say display flex. Okay, let's see what this looks like. Now they're side by side. I want to align the item center. I'm going to justify the content by the space around. And so far we have this. I don't have to give any width to this div because remember a div already stretches across the page. Okay. Now I want to give it some padding on the some margin on the top. So let's say margin top 20 pixels. Okay, that's looking a bit closer. But I think the San Jose section should be more to the left, as you see in the example. It's right under the Dojo weather. So space around is not the best option, maybe space between. Nope, that's too far. Let's check out space evenly. Okay. Well, I can add some margin to the right of the San Jose, and this would push everything away further, but maybe we should adjust the size before we do that. Okay, so in this header here, I'm going to say header. I'm going to target the H2 in the header. I'm going to say font size 30 pixels. Okay, that's looking more like it. And we also have this label here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a label in the select. And I'm going to say, actually right above it, I'm going to say label. And this is going to be for, I'm going to call it the temp selector. And on the select here, I'm going to give it the ID temp selector. And the label has to have some content in it. So I'm going to say show temperature in. Okay. Now the label is actually affected by the flex rule here, justify content. So maybe I can reposition this label to its own section in a div here. So if I create another div and I put everything in here in this div, now they're together. Okay, things are coming along nice. So we wanted to add some margin to this H2 to create some separation. So I'm going to say margin right. Let's just try 100 pixels. And that did push it out. So if I inspect my page, if I put margin right, it'll put that separation and move it to the left. So 100 pixels is not enough, maybe 200 pixels. Almost there, maybe 300 pixels. Okay, that's better. That's looking more like it. This could be a little bit more to the right, but this is not, something like this is not such a big detail. I would maybe move these three options closer by using a different justify content rule. So let's look at that. I'm going a little bit back here. So where was that? The UL space evenly, space around. Is that going to be? No, that's no better. Okay. Well, I don't want to get hung up on that. It's just a few pixel difference. I will just move along. If I add some padding left to this here, I'm afraid it's going to push the San Jose out even more. Then I
Could you adjust the width of the UL? And then that'll shrink it together.
Of this UL?
Yeah.
Oh, I could do that. Yeah, so let's see here. The width, make it 50%. But that just brings in the Dojo weather. Oh, wait. Yeah, that brings in the Dojo weather. I don't want to do that. I want to keep this where it is, but I just want to move this area to the right a little bit more. So I'll just keep coding, and if anyone has any suggestions, I'll apply it, but I'll just think about it as I move along and move to something else. Don't want to spend too much time on one small detail. That's a general advice for you guys as well. If you see a small pixel difference, there's not going to be a hard grade for something this big. So just move.
Put,
sorry, go ahead.
So with space between, put show temperature all the way on the right instead of space around. Oh, where do you have?
So show temperature.
That whole San Jose flex and the space and the temperature flex, if you did space between, wouldn't it put it on the ends instead of space evenly? And then you could play with your margin and padding. You could pad it.
Yeah, I could put some margin left on the H2. And then maybe make it 200. Oh, no, that's still not good. There we go. And on this div here, so I would see what font size this is here. It's not as big as this one, so I'll have to create a new one here. I'll say header div, because it's the only div in the header. Say margin right. 100 pixels. Okay, that's close enough. Make it 90. Okay. So now we have this nav section pretty much complete. This underline, it is a border that could be applied to the nav section or to this section where I have this today, tomorrow, Friday images. I think I'll add it to the header section. So I will inspect my document first and see how big this div is. So now I want to add some padding to this div, the header. I'm going to say padding, bottom, 50 pixels. And then I'm going to say border bottom 2 pixels solid black. Okay, that's pretty close. But it doesn't actually extend the whole entire way. Another way you can add a line is by using an HR tag. So let me just comment this out for a second and show you another way. So if I go here and right below, extend this so you guys can see. Right below this header, I can put an HR tag. Show you what this does. An HR adds a line, as you can see. So now I can target this HR tag, and I can say width 70%. Okay, now we have that at the correct length. I'm going to say vertical line top. Make sure it's going to the top of the area. Actually, that's not necessary. I want to move it to the right. Any suggestions on how to move this HR tag?
Padding left.
Padding left or margin left?
Margin
Okay.
left.
Say 200 pixels. Okay, maybe that's a little too much, so I'll say 150. And it needs to be longer. So 80%. And then I'll have to change the margin left. And that's more accurate there. I still don't like the width, so I'm going to say 75. That's good enough. Maybe the HR can be a little bit thicker here. So if I say border bottom on this, I can say 2 pixels solid black. And now I've added a border to the HR tag. So there's a line, and we added a border to the bottom of the line. Can't tell really the difference there. Okay, so now
Can you go back to the code for a second?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm trying to just follow along with it so I can get like a good understanding for everything.
Okay, but when you do this assignment, you want to practice on your own.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna redo it by myself. I'm just doing this for kind of for reference, just to get an understanding for how it's all done correctly.
Okay. Okay. All right. So now we have this area here. I'm going to call this whole section weather card area. And in this area, I'm going to have multiple weather cards. So let's go ahead and do that now. Erase my comments. Clear my drawings. Okay. So now that we've finished the header, I'm going to say weather card area. Yeah, let's read Christian's comment here. There's no one correct way to do things. This is just one way to do this. Using margin padding, you can use the flex rule. You can use lots of different styles to do the same thing. Okay, now I have in this area 4 weather cards. So I'm just going to create a class called weather card. And then I am going to pretty much duplicate everything in here 4 times. Duplicate? That's not the right word. Oh, I put the comment above the HR, so I'm going to remove that. Replicate.
What's the difference between replicate and duplicate?
Duplicate, I think, means like you do it twice. Like,
No, you're doubling it. Replicating is just making exact same copy.
so let's create a div weather card area. Okay. And in here, I'm going to create 4 classes called weather card. Oh, the div weather card. Let's say times 4. So now I have 4 div classes called weather card. I'm going to format my page. And in each div, I'm going to create some spacing. You know what? I'm going to change my mind here. I'm going to just create one div and then copy it 4 times. I don't need to create all 4, create all different H1 tags. I can just create one image tag, one P tag, and then the weather numbers, copy it 4 times, and then change the details later. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to create a weather card, and I'm going to say H3. The first one says yesterday, or is it today? Today. Yesterday's weather doesn't matter. And then below this, I'm going to have an image. In the image, I'm going to access the images here. I'm going to, what is it? Some clouds. It doesn't matter which image I pick. They're all the same size. And then I'm going to create the alt. I'm going to say some clouds. So I'm going to say, actually, it's some rain. The first image is rain. So let's see if I can get that one actually. Images, some rain. And below this image tag, I'm going to have that P tag that says some rain. So I'll go ahead and do that now. And then I have these 2 weather numbers. So I'm going to create a div for this section as well, so that I can separate these 2. I'm going to call this div called weather numbers. Div weather numbers. In these weather numbers, I'm going to have 2 P tags. One is going to say 24, and the other one's going to say 18. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. Okay, so that's our weather card. Now we just need to add some adjustments to the size, the font size, the colors. Let's go do that now. I'm going to grab that Fahrenheit dot, Celsius weather dot, degree dot. Oh, it goes afterward here. Okay. And now I'm going to apply some classes here to the weather. I'm going to say class equals high temp. And then low temp. Okay. Now, just look at it to get ourselves oriented here. I want to apply, I want to make some rules here so that all the text goes into the center. So who can tell me how to do that?
Flex column, align, or flex column, align item, center.
Okay, that's one way to do it. Any other ways?
Margin zero auto.
Margin zero auto. Does anyone remember the text align rule? I like that rule. So I'm going to say, what is the weather card? I'm going to say weather card. And within this weather card, I have H3. So I'm going to say text align center. But now the card width is not defined. If I look at my card, I need to give it a definite width. So I'm going to say, you know what, before I work on these rules, I want to take into consideration the fact that we have 4 cards. So now that I have 1 card, I'm going to copy it 4 times. That's going to be the first card, second card, third card. So I'll leave some comments here. First card. Second card. Third card. Did I skip one? Oh, I misplaced them. Okay, so now we have 4 cards. They should be stacked on top of each other. And now I should apply some rules to these cards to make them all lined up next to each other. How do we do this?
Flex.
Yes. So let's do that to the weather card area. Let's say weather card area. Display flex. Okay. So this is a better to look at. I want them to be in the center now. So I'm going to say justify content center. Okay, now if we apply text align center, what's going to happen? Now everything's nicely aligned. These cards give each other some context as to space. Maybe we should adjust that line so this doesn't have to be this doesn't have to stretch with the page. So we're just going to present our work as if it's this view of the browser width, or even shorter. Okay, so now let's go ahead and apply the rules to these degrees and p tags here. So did we apply here these p tags? We said weather numbers, right? Okay. So what are we going to apply to weather numbers? We're going to apply display flex to weather numbers so that the numbers are horizontally aligned. So we'll say that here, say weather numbers. Display flex. Okay. And I also want to separate them. So justify content, space around. Okay, now that aligns it nicely with the image and the H3 tags. Now I just need to center align this some rain p tag. So it's right under the image. Okay, so I'm going to add that rule here. And now we have it like this. Okay, looking good so far. Anyone have any questions? 10. Thank you, Danielle. All right, so now let's change these images. Let's change the details of this text. So what do we have today, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday? So I'm going to go to the second today, tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Okay, and now some rain, some sun, some clouds, sun. So sun, clouds, and sun. Change this rain. I heard it's really cold in San Jose, by the way. That's where I'm from. Like there's ice.
Yeah, it's really cold these past few mornings.
Riley, are you from San Jose?
Nearby, yeah, nearby from San Jose, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Is there snow in the mountains? I don't know if you live by the mountains, but whenever there's snow in the mountains in San Jose, it's really different, special. Okay, so we have this rain image, sun. So we just change the image to sun, cloud, and sun. Okay, let's do that now.
Here I am sipping my coffee in 12-degree weather, talking about cold.
Some of us are not built for the cold. Clouds. Oh. Sun. Okay. Okay, that's looking better. Now we just need to change the temperatures. So 2418. Second one is 2719. $21.16. And then the last one's 2621. Okay, great. So now let's go ahead and apply some rules to make separation between temperatures, this text, and add some color as well. Maybe we should make the images a little smaller. Yeah, maybe the images should be a little smaller. So I'm going to say weather card. Weather card. And I'm going to target the image tag in the weather card. I'm going to say height 150 pixels.
They also have like a border radius around them.
Do they? What do you, border radius? So that's going to be this area between.
No, so when you add the border, it's not a square, it's a circle. That's white.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah. I don't think they don't have to be circles. As long as it's white and it blends into the background, we don't have to mess with that. Okay, but now the images are stuck together, so we need to add some separation. So where would I add a rule to create some separation there?
On your weather card area.
Weather card area. Okay. So what rule would I put? I already have center. So I'm going to create some space between here. Am I going to change it? Am I going to add some margin? What's some rules that I can apply here?
Yeah,
You can add margin.
Margin? Okay.
Yes.
So if we target the weather card itself, you can apply some margin. I'll say 20 pixels just to see what it looks like now. Okay, that gives a good amount of separation. Maybe 40 pixels. Okay, that's looking better. And we do want to squeeze it in so where San Jose is the same. Maybe margin 40 pixels is too much. That's better. Okay. Now we want to let's apply some spacing between this area here called weather numbers. So I'm going to say margin top. (20 pixels). And that creates that space there. I also want to target these numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to say height, temp, color red. So now they're all red. And I'm going to say font weight bold. It's a little bolder now. And I'm also going to increase the size. Okay. So now I just need to do this for both. So I'm going to just change this rule to low temp and change this red to blue. And now we have our cards. Okay, is everyone following along?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go ahead and work on this last section now. So we have to work on this here. Once we're done with this, we'll go ahead and apply all the JavaScript rules at the very end. Super important to apply the JavaScript rules, but we're almost done, and that'll be the final touch. Okay. So now let's go ahead and create a section for that cookie area. I'm going to call it cookie message. Cookie message. And in here, let's see what we have. We have this header section. We have an image. We have this paragraph with a link here, and then a button on the very right. So I'll start with the stop cookie time. So I'll do an H4. I'll say stop cookie time. And because everything in here below the cookie, I want to be horizontal, I'm going to just create a whole div inside this cookie area div. And I'm going to call it the cookie body. And in this cookie body, I'm going to create an image tag. And I'm going to grab that cookie image and say cookie image. Let's take a look here. Okay. And what else do we have? We have a P tag, and then we have a button. Right? P tag and then a button. So in this P tag, I'm going to go ahead and copy the text. So what does it say? Use cookies, badly not the edible ones, to personalize. And when I get to this point here, I can either adjust the size of the div so that it indents at every point that I need it to, or I can create a BR tag and it will indent for me. And I'll show you what that means in a second. Content and ads to provide social media features and to see how it indents right where I put the BR. So if I do that here, analyze our traffic. Okay. And then I can also add the A tag within the P tag. So I'll go ahead and do that now. So it's all adjusted. Ooh, I said P. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna say read more. But see what's going on here is when I applied the rule to all A tags at the beginning of my CSS for these three links at the top, what I did is I applied a rule to the A tag here at the bottom. So now I'm going to have to ungeneralize this rule and apply it only to these specific A tags at the very top. So there, Hector, that's an example of not using a general rule. So let's see, let's go ahead and fix this. I'm going to create a specific class for these. I'm going to say,
Just LA space A, and that would solve the problem.
sorry.
Would you just do on line 31 LA space A, and then you're not targeting, and then you don't need to create classes.
So at line 31 on my CSS, do what now?
Space LA space A. LI, sorry.
Oh, LI space A. So that's going to target, yeah, I guess I could do it. Let's see here. Yep, perfect. Yeah, I don't have to create a class. As long as I say, as long as there's no other lists with A tags in them, so you have to know your page pretty well, then that's acceptable. But for a large page, like let's say you're creating a Wikipedia page, this practice maybe could be avoided, so that there's going to be lots of A tags, and there's probably going to be more than one instance where there's going to be A tags within the LI. Okay, so just for now, it's fine. Let's go ahead and add the comment that we forgot to add. Cookie section below. Okay, this comment here. Comment it again. Okay. So we have our H1, we have our image, we have our text. What else do we need? We need our button. Okay, so below this P tag, we're going to create our button. So let me format my document. And button here is going to say I accept. Right? Yep. Okay, so we have everything here. So now we need to align the button, this P tag, and the image. So what's our favorite word here?
Display flex.
Right. And what do we apply it to?
Parent cookie body.
Cookie body. Yes. So let's do that now. I'm say cookie body display flex. Okay. Great. And now this is all kind of stretched out. So what's another flex rule that I want to apply here so that it's not stretched out?
Space evenly.
I mean, see this button, how it's stretched out vertically?
Oh.
What's the rule here so that everything aligns?
Vertically aligned center.
Almost. Align item center. And now it's going to be center aligned here. Okay. So I also want to apply the rule that it says I need to apply to it, position fixed. So we are going to use position fixed here. So on the whole cookie, to target the whole thing.
Josh, I just sent on the chat the styling for the button. So you should confuse.
Okay, nice. Thank you. So for the background color, you gave, thank you. I'll go ahead and take that. So I'll work on the button then, since you just gave me the rule. Okay, so I'm going to target the button in the cookie body. So I'm going to say cookie body button. And I'm going to say background color, this certain color. Oh, did I not copy it right? This is yellow.
Yeah. I just changed the color, but everything else should be the same.
Okay, so let's grab the actual color. It's going to be this color here, right? Same as everything else.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. Okay, do we have that color on our button? That's great. Okay. Thank you, Dia. No more help. I'm supposed to do the job here. Everyone else will contribute and then we'll have it done. So okay, let's see what time we have. Okay, we'll be wrapping up this up soon so you guys can get to your assignments. Okay, so let's speed this up. Box shadow, 2 pixels, 2 pixels, and then 0 pixels black. Great. Okay. Let's move this over. What else here? Border color, black. Give some depth to the border. Height, 30 pixels. Width, 90 pixels. Color is already black, so I don't need to change that. I do need to change the font size though, so let's see. Font size, 18 pixels. That's better. Okay. And now we need to let's just finish the H1 on this cookie here. So I mean the H4, excuse me. So above the cookie body, I like to put things in order that we would see them in the HTML the same as CSS. So so in the cookie message, in the H4, we're going to target, I'm going to say text align center. No, it's not actually in the center, so let's give it some margin here. Margin left, 100 pixels. And that puts it above here. Now we should work on the spacing between each of these items here. So let's work on the whole entire body now. So what I want to do is grab this cookie message. I'm going to say let's add an outline. 2 pixels solid black. Okay. Let's give it a width of 600 pixels. Okay. We also have a position fixed that we want to apply to it. Is it fixed? Yes, it is. So we're going to say position fixed. Does that move at all? No, it doesn't. Okay, so we need to move it now. We're going to say from the bottom, now let's start from the left. From the left, 200 pixels. I think that's too much. Let's compare this to our page. So maybe it should be a little bit bigger than 600 in the width. So the width should be, I'm guessing 800 now. And from the left, it should only be 100 pixels. 800 is too large. I'm going to change to 700. And from the left, I'll say 80. Okay, that's looking like closer. Maybe the width should be a little bit less. Okay, that's close enough. Okay, so now we need to create some separation here between the image, the p tag, and the accept. So how do we do this?
Some paddings.
So
Or
let's try justify content.
you could do that too.
Okay, so justify content. Space evenly. That's looking better. But I probably want to use space between so the images are at the very edges here. Between. Okay, that's looking better. Maybe just some margin on to the left and to the right of the of these button and images here. So I'm going to target the button. I'm going to say margin right. $20 pixels. It's looking better. And the image as well.
And you can add some to the H4.
And to the H4, I'll do that in a second here.
Or I think the other way that we can handle that is that if you have the H4 and a P tag in one div, then it will be like inside the flash. So it will be like aligned.
Sorry, Heidi, I didn't hear you very well.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so what I mean is like the other option other than doing the margin is like, because we have this block and the next block, we can have different blocks as well. So the other possible way is to move the H4 tag like with the P tag. So let's say we have a div with the H4 and the P tag. So that way these two are going to be aligned in the same area. Then we don't need to calculate all the margin.
Right.
Yeah, but it's options because it is CSS, so there are a lot of different ways to do it. So yeah, it's only one of the way that you can do it to like get everything fixed. And yeah.
Okay, we're almost done here. So as soon as we adjust this look on the cookie bar, this cookie div, we'll just add the JavaScript and we'll be done here. So let's see here. I don't need to add those BR tags actually, even though they do indent. I'm just going to add a definite width to the whole p tag area. So what I'll do is I'll say cookie body p width 500 pixels. I think that's a little bit too big. 400. Personalize content. Okay, so it indents at the right places, but I want the text to align to the left. I think that's like justify. What is the rule here to align text to left? I have to look it up. So that's all right. Let's look it up. Align text to the left. HTML. Text align left. There we go. Okay. Text align left. There we go. Okay, now we see the H4 could be a little bit to the left as well. So I'll just say margin left back to 100 pixels. Ooh, maybe 20, 120, 30. There we go. Okay. And maybe just the height on the message itself. So let's see here. I'm going to say height of 130 pixels. It's too big. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Maybe just the H4 needs some margin above and below. So I'll say margin top 10 pixels. Do we need any margin bottom? Why not? I think this is close enough. Maybe the button could be a little bit to the left, but let's not worry about the details. We've spent enough time on this already. Let's work on the JavaScript. So let's do that now. So what's the first JavaScript feature? What's the easiest one that I could do? If I was working on a test and I was running out of time, I would work on the easiest one first. So we know how to make an alert pop up. So if I click on the link here at the top, Burbank, Chicago, or Dallas, I should go ahead and make the alert pop up. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say, I'm going to create here an on click equals a function that I'm going to create in JavaScript called alert me. And I'm going to copy it to each A tag. Okay. I'm going to bring my JavaScript to the right here now. And on the alert me, I'm going to create a function now. Function alert me. I'm going to say alert. When it's clicked, I'm going to create an alert that says loading. Let's see what it says. Loading weather report. Now let's look at our document. Okay, 1 out of 3 done. Now I need to create the next easiest one I can think of, and this is relative here. If I click the accept button, it's going to remove the whole entire cookie section. So I'm going to create a function here called delete me. And then I'll go ahead and say, I'm going to target this by the document query selector. So let's go ahead and create, where is it here on our page, cookie section. We have a class cookie message. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it var cookie message. And yeah, I'm going to say it is equal to the document query selector. And I'm going to target the cookie message. And then I'm going to say cookie message dot remove. Let's test this out. Oh, we need to apply this to the button first. So let's go ahead and do the button and say on click equals readme. Okay, now that's done. What's left? Now we have to go ahead and change every degree temperature to do we have to change it back here? Convert
Oh.
temperatures when select is changed.
Josh, why didn't you use this inside of the like on your HTML? Like delete me this.
So this would be specific to the button. If I put this inside here, it would
Yeah.
only target the button. So I wanted to target something else. It's a good question.
Good to know. All right, thank you.
Okay. So the last one now, I'm going to go ahead and change the temperatures. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to target all these temperatures, and I'm going to start on Fahrenheit. No, actually start on Celsius, and then I'm going to change them all to Fahrenheit. Okay. So I'm going to give each of these temperatures. Here's a thoughtless way to do it. It's not like thinking about this hardcore. If I give these all an ID or a class, and I put a function on this selector, and on that selector, if I make a change, I can go ahead and target all those IDs or classes, whatever I put here, and then change it that way. So let's see what I mean by that. Okay. So if I go here to the selector, where did I put it? Right after San Jose. Here it is. If I go to the selector and I, on the selector, go on change equals, and in this quotations, I'm going to create a function called change temp. Here, I am going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to create a function here called function change temp. Okay, and in here, I am just going to console log something at first to make sure. I'm going to say temp changed. Make sure it's working. So I'm going to inspect my console. And it works. Anytime I change it, I should get a console now that tells me temp has been changed. Okay, so now I know this selector is working. Now, every time I do change it, I need to go ahead and make a difference on the page. So I'm going to select all the different temperatures that exist. Okay, I know the bonus says I want to actually use a method to convert the temperatures, but I'm going to do it the easy way first, the really simple way. And then I'm not going to even worry about showing you guys how to actually change the temperature. I'm just going to do something really simple. Okay. I'm going to, let's say I'm going to put an ID on each number here. And I'm just going to list them by the order that I see them. Okay, so let's see here. Where are our numbers? The first one is 24. So I'm going to give this one a specific ID in addition to the class that it has. I'm going to say ID equals temp1. And so when I select this, this is just this 24. Okay. I'm going to copy it. Say temp2. Make this temp3. Make sure I'm in the right order. Yeah, temp3. Temp4. Temp5, temp6. Is there only 8? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Seven. And temp8. Okay, so now I'm going to grab all these temperatures. I'm going to make a variable for each one. This temp1 is going to equal document.query selector. And I'm going to grab it by the ID I gave it. So within the quotations, I give it the ID hashtag temp1. And since I already wrote this, I don't need to go through the trouble of writing it 7 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just change it here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Need to change the variable name here as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let me just make sure that I got these, that I had these properly. So if I say console log, and I'd say in here temp1, put it here, and let's just make sure that every time I switch, I can get that first ID. Okay, so here it is. Here's that p tag. Every time I switch, I can get that p tag now. So that's a good sign. Now let's go ahead and do something with that. How do we do this? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make an if statement here. I'll say if I want to say if the temp value is Fahrenheit, switch it to a number that's Celsius, and vice versa. So how am I going to grab the temp values? I need to go ahead and look onto my selector. Let's see here. I need to go here and, well, let's just create the if statement and say if temp value is equal to Fahrenheit. So I'm going to grab this option here. And I'm going to, within this if statement, I'm going to say temp1 dot inner HTML is going to be equal to 75. 75 degrees. Okay. And I'm going to switch. I'm going to do this for all 8 temperatures. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's look here at the example. So temp 1 is going to be 75. Oops. Let's move this below. Temp 2 is going to be 65. Temp 3 is going to be 80. Temp 4 is going to be 66, then 69, then 61, and then 78, and then 70. Okay. And if it's else, if temp value is Celsius, then change the value to Celsius. So the Celsius value will be 24, 18, 27, 19, 21, 16, 26, and 21. Okay. Now, so now I need to give a certain, I need to make temp value actually equal something. So I will say here at the beginning of the function, I'm going to create another variable here. I'm going to say var temp value. Oh, I should put var for all the other values here, but let's see here if it works. Temp value equals, I need to grab by something here that on the HTML. So let's take a look here. On this section here, I have something called this temp selector. Here it is. So in the temp selector, this is the ID for the select. And what we can do is grab the value of the temp selectors by doing this here. We can say temp value equals document dot get element by ID. Then in here, I'm going to say temp selector. And I need the hashtag temp selector. And then I'm going to say at position 0, because that is the first option that we click when we click here in our list. 0, and then dot value. That's going to give us the value, and we can show this by a console log. Ooh, my mouse is running out of battery. So dot value. Oh, it keeps changing. Okay, so let's just console log this. Console.log temp value. Okay. Inspect our console. All right, so cannot read properties of null, reading 0. So maybe I typed in something wrong here. Get element by ID. Do I need this hashtag here?
You need the semicolon or no?
Yeah, semicolon's good to have. Okay, Celsius. Oh, they're both Celsius. So why are they both Celsius?
Maybe because of the 0 that you have there. Index 0.
Yes, but each of the values here, anytime I select it now, it should be different every time I select it. Anytime I move this to the front, it should be 0. Let's see what Christian says. Okay. Yeah. Let's go ahead and change something up here. I'm going to grab it by the name instead of the ID. By name. And let's see what I get here instead. Document get element, but the name is not a function. You must be missing something here.
What are you trying to do? I stepped out from a meeting for a second.
I'm grabbing this the value of whatever I'm selecting here in the selector. And I'm trying to grab it by the ID, but every time I select it here.
Why do you have the square bracket 0 part if you've got get element by ID?
I was just trying to get the first value. Like I assumed here, this would be the first value anytime.
No, it'll be whatever value is selected is the value.
Okay.
So you don't want this the square bracket 0 part. You just do the dot value.
Fahrenheit, Celsius. Oh, thank you, Christian. Save the day. All right. So now when I change it here, it should change the text itself. So what am I missing here as well? So if temp value equals, here, the console log is here to save us as well. So if the console log, if temp value equals Fahrenheit, and if this equals Celsius, now will it switch? Now it switches. And that's the last JavaScript feature.
Josh, can I ask why did you use get element by ID and not a query selector?
So look here at the code. I could have done either way, but I chose to just grab it by the ID.
I see. And you could have done all of that for temp 1 through temp 8. You could have just used get element by ID.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a way called hard coding because I gave definite values.
Okay.
It's a really simple way. I could also make this an else if. And I did this way just to give it as little thought as possible. Okay. If you want to challenge yourself and be able to do something a little bit harder, like I don't think anything on the test will require you to do something as difficult as make a calculation that would change from Fahrenheit to Celsius. But Christian has offered to show that method as well. Okay. So that's just extra knowledge. Actually, I would be interested in seeing how Christian does it as well. But that finishes the page. The last JavaScript feature was actually obviously a little bit more difficult than removing and making a pop-up show up. But all I did here was create these variables, attach them to the IDs by the query selector. And then I said, if the temp value is Fahrenheit, then make this the value of the inner HTML. Else, if it's Celsius, make this the value. Okay, not that difficult, right? Let's on just this last JavaScript feature, let's give a level of understanding, 1 to 10. Okay, I'm glad. You don't have to put a high number if you don't actually feel that way. We're here to help. So I think that this should conclude the lecture. If anyone has any specific questions, be happy to answer. If not, let's go ahead and take a break.
Thank you.
All right, let's meet at 2:30 to give it a good break time here.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you.